indeed. The head of the International Energy Agency is warning that it could take up to 6 months to restore oil and gas flows from the Gulf. Fatih Birol told the Financial Times that the world is facing what could be the most severe energy crisis in history. He also warned that politicians and markets are underestimating the scale of the disruption. Let's take you live now to the New York Stock Exchange, where the market has just closed for the day. Al Jazeera's Kristen Salumi is there. How did the market fare today, Kristen?
Yes, well, climbing oil prices and fears of higher interest rates continue to weigh down the markets. We're seeing all of the major stock indexes in the red again today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 1%, the NASDAQ closing down 2%. And more telling even than that is that this is the fourth week in a row that the indexes have been trading lower. And this as oil prices remain elevated, in particular the Brent Crude, the international benchmark, trading at $110 a barrel. Now, investors are signaling their concerns about the longer-term impact of this war. There are fewer investors betting that the Federal Reserve, the U.S. Central Bank, will cut interest rates by the end of the year. And that will have an impact on borrowing costs, of course, for not only businesses, but also individuals. And that can raise costs and mean less profits for businesses. So that's a concern that investors are increasingly worried about and signaling as the war continues and oil prices continue to rise.
Kristen, there was a Reuters Ipsos poll today that found that 55% of Americans say that rising gas prices have hit their household finances. This is already beginning to impact the American consumer, isn't it?
Yeah, Americans are beginning to feel the pinch. They haven't seen as sharp of an increase as some other parts of the world have when they go to fill up their vehicles, but they're definitely seeing it. And that poll you mentioned, Reuters Ipsos, 55% of Americans say they're noticing the impact. 21% say it's affecting their finances a great deal. And 87% expect the prices to go even higher. And that, of course, affects people with the least amount of money the most. For the people going to fill up their tank, they may spend an extra $15 every time they fill up their tank, and that adds up in a place where rising costs in general have been a concern.
All right, Kristen Salumi, live at the New York Stock Exchange. Many thanks indeed, Kristen. I'm joined now by Mark Feifley, who's the founder and president of Off the Record Strategies. He's also a former White House official under the Bush administration. Welcome. You've heard what Kristen was saying there about American consumers being hit in the pocket already by this war. President Trump is asking Congress for $200 billion for the war effort. How difficult an ask is that for him in the current environment?
Well, Adrian, we know right now that the government is partially shut down. The Department of Homeland Security, portions of it are already have a difficult time just finding an agreement in Congress. We see long lines at the TSA lines at our airports. If there's one thing that Congress enjoys doing that brings Republicans and Democrats together, though, it's spending money. So it's possible to put together what's called a Christmas tree, which might have war funding to replenish the coffers of the DOD and what it needs to build back its military after this huge campaign in Iran. And then the Democrats could add something. They might want something for Ukraine, and they might put some other things together. But as we know, over the last year or more, the government has been shut down a great deal, so it could still move to that as they try and create this theatrics as they go into the November elections.
All right, talking of the midterms in November, does this war strengthen President Trump politically or expose him to new risks?
At this point, it is a negative for him. Now, if the war can end fairly soon, and if it can show some positive movements along the lines of what Mr. Trump is looking for, a change in regime or somebody that he can work with, bringing down the nuclear capabilities of Iran, taking on its proxies, stopping the ballistic missiles, giving new oxygen to the people that were demonstrating and that were killed in the streets back in January, that's a way that could help. But really what we're seeing, as you mentioned in your reports, the Strait of Hormuz, $110 a barrel oil. That is the difficulty. Mr. Trump won this election in good part because he said he was going to bring down costs and he's going to create jobs. If those two things haven't happened, it could be some real problems for the Republicans.
All right. So are the midterms likely to be a referendum on Trump as a wartime president, or as a referendum on the war itself?
Could be, if we're still stuck in it. If it's one of these forever wars that Mr. Trump said that he was against, would not get us into. I think he's going to end it pretty quick, though. Look, if there's one thing that's unpopular in the United States of America, it's the Democrats. But if there's even something that's more unpopular right now, it's the Republicans. So he has a lot of work to do. Republicans, politicians in general right now are about as popular as getting your insurance premium bill in the mail, or skinny jeans, or Sean Diddy Combs right now. They have a lot of work to do. Both sides do, to actually get it so you actually want to go into a voting booth and cast your vote for them.
And within the Republican Party, are we seeing a split between traditional hawks and a more isolationist wing in Trump's own base right now?
So Trump's support with the Republicans is quite strong right now. There's a small undercurrent of people in kind of the online and the podcast world, and the one individual who recently resigned from the NCTC. But at this point, just 20 days in, 21 days, he stayed pretty strong. But the question is, how long does that last? Mr. Trump said 5 weeks that this war will last. We're about 3 weeks in right now. Let's check back in a week or two and see where we are.
I was going to ask you, how quickly Trump will end this war if gas prices continue to rise, the stock market continues to fall, inflation begins to come back.
So I think what he could do is end this in 5 weeks and say, I've taken out Iran's capabilities for a nuclear weapon for the foreseeable future. They're not going to be able to fund their proxy efforts in Lebanon and Yemen and Syria and other places. Their ballistic missile programs, I took most of that out. And I hit their besiege areas of these special police units that target the innocent people that protested. So, and then he leaves. Now, the problem is that he has the son of the former supreme leader in charge now, if that happens. And then it's a coin flip. Does the regime stay or not? That's the question that we don't know right now. As it is right now, the Iranian regime is staying fragile, but it is intact. That's the problem Mr. Trump has.
What do ordinary Americans think of their president?
So I think it's very divided. Just ask anybody at Thanksgiving dinner, and they will tell you that you almost have to pick a side. You are either anti-Trump or you're pro-Trump, and there's not a lot of us in the middle. There's like 5 of us. We gather in a phone booth once a month, and we go over how both sides are kind of off the edge right now.
Mark, it's been really good to talk to you. Many thanks indeed for being with us. Mark Feifley.
Thank you, Adrian.